A fresh look at 9/11. For the first time, remote viewing sheds new light on the terrible events surrounding the 9/11 attacks. What really happened that awful day? This new project highlights some of the most amazing work ever done by two of the best remote viewers in the world.
Very small particles.
Daz Smith from the UK and Dick Allgaier, a remarkable remote viewer from Hawaii.
I felt it. So they're talking about that, like, God, did you see that? Yeah, I saw it. Then someone else is saying, what the fuck was that?
I want to say molten.
This amazing two-part documentary features actual live sessions captured in high-def video.
I am Courtney Brown, and I am director of the Farsight Institute, a nonprofit research and educational institute dedicated to the study of the phenomenon known as remote viewing.
Remote viewing is a mental skill developed secretly by the U.S. military, used as an intelligence tool, and now scientifically validated in the civilian world.
Totally unexpected, but they correlate and it matches.
Dr. Courtney Brown, director of the Farsight Institute, has conducted numerous scientific studies testing remote viewing. His work has been published and discussed in peer-reviewed scientific journals. Dr. Brown designed and conducted this project, expecting these two viewers to validate the official story of 9/11. But Dr. Brown's project took unexpected turns as the viewers, working blind with no advanced knowledge of their targets, both describe things that directly contradict the official story of 9/11. What the viewers actually perceived is shown as it happened in this incredible two-part video.
There's a great sense of fear and worry, panic and change. High emotions here. This feels like a very important event. This is pivotal. This is something that was a very strong target. Lots happening. A very big pivotal event, maybe even historic.
It feels like an avalanche, but it's not an avalanche. This seems urban. It seems like a city, but it's a big energy event. I would say, almost like a nuclear, but like a small nuke. Keeps reminding me of like 9/11, the Trade Center collapse.
And the viewers are on opposite end of the planet, and they're not communicating. There's no conversation. There's no chatter going back and forth. They're independently coming up with the exact same information. And what really set me back for this whole thing is I designed the project, and this project I actually chose because I was thinking that it would be a conservative project where we got data that reaffirmed the official story of what happened with 9/11. Nobody was more flabbergasted, more set back than myself when the actual data started to come in and I realized that the official story wasn't right. The issue is that when you have the absolute best remote viewers on the planet coming in with exactly the same data, under totally blind, squeaky clean conditions, I have to believe it. And the story that we got was much, much, much different from the official version. Ultimately, these remote viewing data describe the physical elements of the 9/11 events perfectly, but they also describe a behind-the-scenes story that has never before been told to the public. In incredible detail, these data describe the 9/11 events as an inside job, managed, scripted, planned out from the very beginning, from top to bottom. One of the most sophisticated attempts at the manipulation of the mass belief system of the public that has perhaps ever been attempted. These data change our understanding of modern history.
In front of this target here, you can feel the rush of wind and heat and energy and light.
How was Building 7 brought down?
A crashing crashing, cascading collapse, like demolition.
What hit the Pentagon?
Rocket ignition inside a cylinder, and it's launching out. So this is like a cruise missile coming out of its tube.
I want to say that this was some kind of controlled missile type object. Yeah, fast moving. When it hits, it hits. And then there's this explosive pushing out of energy and waves and clouds and debris and bits.
What happened in the cockpit in one of the hijacked airliners?
The autopilot is piloting on its own, and they can't shut it off, and they can't override it, and they're flipping switches. And the thing is, they're not strong enough to, the yoke is just doing its own thing.
Who planned the attacks?
They're powerful. They're looked up to. It does feel why does it feel corporate? It feels business-like.
These guys are calculating something cold. They're making decisions that are they're making decisions that'll affect a lot of people, but they don't want people to know about the decision-making process.
The entire documentary had to come out in 2 parts because it was running nearly 4 hours in length. But to watch the remote viewers in real time do their sessions is spellbinding. You actually see them build layer upon layer of information. They discover one thing, they perceive one thing, and then they add new information to it. And you see how the remote viewing goes on. To build the entire story, it's just, you have to see it to believe it. This is the project of the century as far as I'm concerned.